Finally, we can say, under this playoff format, the best man won. Yo, what is up, everyone? My name is Jeff Krause, and welcome back to another episode of MDK Victory Stop. The 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship finale from the Phoenix Raceway just concluded, and Team Penske has scored their second Xfinity Series champion. The first one was back in 2010 with a young man named Brad Keselowski who won it in the 22 car. 10 years later, another driver in the 22 car and 22-year-old Austin Cindric brings home another Xfinity Series championship for Team Penske. Now, a lot of stuff happened in this race, but overall, it was a really good race. Before I get into it, Xfinity Series, they always put on a show, and today was just another example of why the Xfinity Series is the best series going on in NASCAR today. Even at the beginning, right from the start, we already saw some really fun racing. You had Chase Briscoe as the race leader with Allgaier and Cindric second and third right behind. And they were racing really hard between the two, especially between Cindric and Briscoe, which is what we expected, the theme of how the season has been going. We expected Cindric and Briscoe to be the top two drivers to battle it out. In fact, they were racing so hard that even Briscoe tapped the wall a little bit in turn two. That's how hard he was trying to clear Cindric. Now, at first we thought, oh, it's just a little tap in the wall. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But I feel like that when Briscoe tapped the wall, he didn't smack it, nothing hard. But when he tapped the wall, that was a sign of things to come, because from that point on, Briscoe's day went from here and just slowly but gradually started to fall off. There was a moment during the race earlier in stage one. We had Noah Gragson and Justin Haley had a bit of a scuffle between the two. Now, there is history between those two drivers. Noah Gragson literally flat out said in an interview that he really wants to punch Justin Haley in the face. And he was dead serious about that, which, okay. I mean, fair enough. But apparently those two drivers, they do not like each other very much. Don't know why Gragson did that, because the only evidence we saw of those two having some form of interaction between each other was when Gragson passed Haley and pulled a slide up on him, pulled up in front of Haley, and then sort of let off the brakes a little bit to ensure that Haley doesn't get a run on him. And then on the pace laps, or at least when cars were slowing down during a caution, Gragson just turns down on Haley. I don't know why. And it's kind of like what we saw in the truck race yesterday, where there was usually that one driver that tries to spoil the playoff party. Today, that was Gragson. And in the closing laps of stage one, you had Justin Allgaier, who started to fell back when Cindric and Briscoe, they started to pull away from the field. Now Allgaier was back in the middle of the two drivers. He was in second. I believe Briscoe was in first and Cindric in third. And then later on, Allgaier started to fall back a bit. Cindric started to gain momentum. And they had a really fun battle coming to the finish of stage one. They had a photo finish at stage one, split a lap car side by side at the line. But it was Chase Briscoe who go on to win stage one. Cindric third, Cindric in second, I should say, Allgaier third, and Justin Haley in seventh place. Again, I always said this, I feel like that potentially either Allgaier or Haley would have been the one to basically been the odd man out. That would nowhere be a factor for the championship. And today, unfortunately, that was Haley. He was in the championship four, but you would not have noticed if you didn't know, because Haley was nowhere near, not even in the top five for majority of the race. So not a good day for the 11 team and Colleague Racing. Cool to see them in the championship four. That's an underdog team that a lot of people want to see succeed. But I mean, when you're going up against the big teams of Stewart-Haas, Junior Motorsports, and Team Penske, you know, what were you expecting? Let's be honest. Allgaier begins stage two out in front due to him getting off of pit road first, and had a very clean but very tight and aggressive two-lap battle at the start of stage number two with Chase Briscoe before Allgaier got out to a big lead. Remember I talked about Noah Gragson at first at the start of stage one? Again, he was playing spoiler. He was able to pass Cindric and pass Briscoe to jump up into the second spot. Now, it was around the middle part of stage two where we really got to see, okay, the drivers and the car's strength. Justin Allgaier got out to a very fast start. His car was good on the short runs. Austin Cindric, on the other hand, his car was really good on the long runs, and it showed. At the beginning of stage two, Allgaier got out to a really fast lead. However, as we got later and later into a long green flag run, Austin Cindric, who fell back at first, was starting to reel back in. He passed Gragson very quickly and caught up to Allgaier pretty quickly, but he was not able to pass him, but we still got to see a really good battle between the two. And then a late caution came out, and that brought out a restart with 10 to go in stage 2. This time you had Cindric and Allgaier side by side. Allgaier was able to hold Cindric off at bay for a few laps, but ultimately with 6 to go, Cindric was able to get underneath Allgaier and clear him to take the top spot with 6 to go, and Cindric will go on to win stage number 2. Allgaier was second, Briscoe's third, same story between the top 3. Justin Haley, on the other hand, same deal, 7th place, just like stage 1. Again, Haley he was in the championship 4, but you would not have known that if you didn't know who were the 4 drivers. Stage 3 began with Brandon Jones. Now, Brandon Jones, we have not heard about him all race long, but he was the last driver to win at Phoenix back in spring. He started to have a role in this race once stage 3 began. He started out in first. Justin Allgaier was started behind him due to the choose cone rule and got a really, really good restart. Was able to get underneath Brandon Jones right as they turned into the back straightaway, and he was able to clear him for the race lead. And then just like what we saw near the end of stage 2, Allgaier got out to a big lead. Later into the run, Cindric started to run Allgaier down. And then after a few laps of running nose to tail with Allgaier, Cindric, once again, gets underneath Allgaier on the back straightaway and passes him. Now, while those two drivers are out there fighting for the lead, Chase Briscoe, the driver that a lot of us expected to possibly take home this championship, he had the most wins. He was certainly the car to beat, or at least the top 2. He was struggling really bad. Remember when I said earlier on how he topped the wall in turn 2? Yeah, he probably did that about 3 or 4 times. His car all night was just reporting loose, too loose, could not get a feel for the race car. And then some really weird stuff happened. So then almost either at the same time or just a few moments later, Justin Allgaier, who was running second or third, he reported that he thought a tire was coming apart. Now that is, when you feel a tire coming apart, you need to pit or else you could potentially spin out and ruin your car. So they were getting stuff ready for Allgaier to pit. And then Allgaier says, oh no, false alarm, no, it's all good. But in the meantime, when he's reporting that, Briscoe starts to come to life. He gets up to Allgaier and passes him for 3rd place. So it looks like now that Briscoe is starting to get back into form. The problem is that there's 39 laps to go, and he's 4 seconds behind Cindric, who's the race leader. Allgaier is losing so much ground at this point. Even though the tire does not come apart, he's losing too much ground to the point where the team just decided, you know what, we're bleeding too much, we need to come on to pit road. And they did so with 39 laps to go alongside with Justin Haley, who was also needing a miracle basically in order to get back in the mix for the championship. And then with 30 laps to go, decision-making time, because a caution comes out. So now you have to decide whether you pit or not. Well, with Justin Allgaier, he has a fast short track car. He has one more set of fresh tires. He decides to use them, pits. Cindric, on the other hand, he's a race leader. He stays out. But what's interesting about this is that when the restart took place, Cindric was the race leader, and then Allgaier was either the 2nd or 3rd driver on the inside lane behind Cindric. Cindric was actually able to not only hold off Allgaier, but start to build his lead. And remember, he's on much more older tires than Allgaier. And just almost to a T, exactly like what happened in the truck race last night, a caution comes out with 3 laps to go. This time, it actually involved a championship driver, Chase Briscoe. A tire did not come apart. I don't know what happened, but entering turn 4, the car I can't really explain what happened to him, but he just spun out all by himself. And at first, people thought it was quite suspicious, including the teams of Allgaier and Cindric. Cindric, in fact, said on the radio, I'm going to kill him. Allgaier thought that Briscoe did this on purpose so that they could get a caution so they can get fresh tires, and also knowing that Allgaier and his team, they don't have a fresh set of tires left because they just used them for the last caution. But in reality, I don't know why, looking back, it made no sense. I don't think there was some conspiracy theory, going on there of Briscoe intentionally spinning out, because number one, that wouldn't help him. He was going to have to come onto pit road. He was going to start 9th or 10th. We knew his car it took him a while for his car to get back into form. It didn't make sense for him to do that. And so now the decision comes, do you pit or do you not? Cindric pits while Allgaier stays out. Briscoe and Haley also pits as well, but it was important that Cindric pitted and Allgaier stayed out. And when we were coming around to take the green flag, only Chastain and Allgaier, those were the only 2 drivers that stayed out on lap 173. That was the last time they pitted. From, I think, 3rd to maybe 8th or 9th place, including Cindric, who started 3rd, just pitted. And he's right behind Allgaier. This was a recipe for disaster for the 17. and a recipe for a championship for the 22 team. On final restart of the race, Allgaier actually had the lead, but then beached it in turn 4, got way up high. That allowed Cindric to get an incredible run through the middle of turn 4. Both made contact as Noah Gragson on the inside takes the race lead at the white flag, but then also Cindric gets a good run entering turn 2 on the high lane, cuts down low underneath Gragson, side by side entering the back straightaway in turn number 4. Cindric is able to clear Gragson and steals the win, but most importantly, not only does he win his 6th race of 2020, but he becomes the 2020 Xfinity Series champion. Take a look at the results of the Championship 4. So you had Austin Cindric, who won the race again almost every single time with this Championship 4 format. The driver has needed to win the race, or not needed to win the race, but has won the race to win the championship. The second highest finisher was Justin Allgaier in 5th, Justin Haley in 8th, and Chase Briscoe would end up being the lowest of the Championship 4 in 9th. Overall, my thoughts on this race, there's really nothing much to talk about. It was simply just a really good race, I thought. A lot of very interesting strategies, a lot of, I don't want to say comers and goers, but I like how in stage 1 it was between Allgaier, but mainly between Cindric and Briscoe. And then as we got later on into the race, it became Allgaier and Cindric. But yeah, overall it was a really good race, much better than the truck race, I felt like. And yeah, there's really nothing much to go off of other than really good race. Congratulations to Austin Cindric. I mean, look, I didn't like him. Still not a fan of him, but you got to give him credit. He did what he needed to do. He was a regular season champion, had the most top 5s, most top 10s, second best average finish, second most wins of 2020. He was the best. He was the best. He was the best to beat. And I believe under the Winston Cup format, he would have been the champion regardless. So I could be wrong about that, but I believe he would have been the champion regardless of whatever format you picked from. So finally, for the first time in a while, the best man won. Doesn't matter which format, the best man won. So congratulations to Cindric and Team Penske. And I will say, though, it is going to be really fun to see Briscoe and Cindric move on up to the Cup Series. You know, Briscoe's taking over in 2021 next season. Cindric's taking over in 2022 for the Wood Brothers. That is going to be a very fun battle. Cannot wait to see what those two drivers do in the future here in NASCAR. But that is going to conclude this episode of MDK Victory Stop. Tell me what are your guys' thoughts on this race in the comment section down below. Tomorrow morning, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship finale from Phoenix. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, I should say, not Briscoe. Brad Keselowski, and Joey Logano. Those 4 drivers are going to be in contention for the championship. I might have a special video to tribute a certain favorite driver of mine earlier in the morning, so make sure you be on the lookout for that. But yeah, until next time, I might check out some MDK Racing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.